There's a podcast. Here we go. This is what I have for you. NBA. NBA. We had a trade. We had a coach fired. And we have a potential, I don't know if he's a legend, but we have a potential big coaching change happening right before our eyes. So that's what I have for you today. A lot of NBA talk, and it's halfway through the NBA season. So it's time. It's time that we kind of recalibrate, get us settled in, because we're gonna get into the fun part of the NBA season where things get serious, and the next few weeks is really going to decide where we're going to be for the rest of the season. So, NBA talk, here we go. Hope you enjoy it. Now, this is top of the news for the NBA. We've had a coaching change. First coach fired in the NBA. I don't think anybody would have thought it would have been Adrian Griffin. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's a little too strong. Because if you have been following this from the very beginning, maybe you're not that surprised. Now, let me give you a timeline. Adrian Griffin, Bucks for the Milwaukee Bucks, gets hired. And, he takes over Coach Bud. And when he takes over Coach Bud, it kind of, everybody was like, well, it's time for Budenholzer to kind of go. The Bucks lost to the Heat in the playoffs last year, so you need a change, and it's time. And then, obviously all the tragic stuff from that came out. Coach Bud had lost his brother, and, he had lost him during the playoffs and all that. But he gets fired, and in June, they announced that the Bucks announced that they were going to hire Adrian Griffin. Now, Adrian Griffin was a longtime assistant. He was in Toronto. He was with Nick Nurse. And people said that it was Nick Nurse who was going to take the job. And Nick Nurse was favored to take the job in Milwaukee. And I was for it, because Nick Nurse is a really good coach. And we're seeing the stuff he's doing with Philly this year, and the way he's unlocked or further unlocked Joel Embiid. But he goes to the Bucks, sign him, first year coach, but he had, he was under other coaches, so he had the experience, and he was just well liked around the NBA. And he comes in, and the first sign of trouble that when I first noticed and was like, wait, what's going on here, was during training camp. Now you got to remember, this is the summer where we all thought Dame Lillard was going to go to Miami, and at the end he ends up somehow landing with Milwaukee. Milwaukee ends up trading Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday ends up on the Celtics. But Dame lands with them, and everyone's like, whoa, Dame and Giannis, here we go. That pick and roll is going to be crazy. Dame finally has an opportunity to win the title. Giannis has been given a new, a legitimate number 2 star. And everything was to keep Giannis, because there was all that rumbling that, maybe he was going to leave. And even Giannis, had given, weird interviews where he talked about, playing somewhere else. And you had their owner who was, selling large percentage, the majority of his stake. So you just had a lot of stuff moving around that franchise. But Adrian Griffin was the coach, and he was going to come in, and he was defensive-minded. Now, mind you, under Coach Bud, the the Milwaukee Bucks were one of the best defensive teams in the entire NBA. So you bring in Griffin, and Griffin brings with him Terry Stotts. Now, Terry Stotts was longtime coach for Portland Trailblazers, and he was the coach for Damian Lillard. Now, you bring in Damian Lillard, you bring in Terry Stotts, and Terry Stotts was going to set up the offense, which made sense because Damian Lillard was going to feel comfortable, and even Damian Lillard was saying how I feel comfortable in the offense and blah blah. So obviously, everything is built to make their two stars feel very comfortable, which is where we're at in the NBA. Nothing different there. And then right before the season starts, like the weekend before the season starts, Terry Stotts just randomly retires. Oh, quits. I mean, not retires. And everyone was like, huh? What? Why now? What happened? And as news came out, what ended up happening was that Terry Stotts and Adrian Griffin got into it. A lot of it was because Terry Stotts, you got to remember, longtime coach, he was gaining a lot of popularity with the players. And Adrian Griffin, first-year coach, first-time coaching, as a head coach, he felt threatened. And apparently he had yelled at Terry Stotts, and things got really weird, tense. And Terry Stotts, a longtime coach, you're not going to just yell at someone like that. So he quit. And from that point forward, you got the sense that Adrian Griffin was going to overcompensate. It was his first time being a head coach, and he was just trying his best to not give anybody control, and he was just trying to hold it. Now, just because you've been in a staff for a long time and just because you've coached as an assistant for a long time does not mean that you're going to be successful as a head coach, because the head coach responsibility is very different than the assistant coach. Because a lot of times the assistant coach is responsible for one thing. And, typically you'll get assigned. In football, obviously, there's the position coaches, and then there's the defensive coordinator and stuff like that. And in basketball, it's very similar. In basketball, you get the guy who is working with the guards, and you get the guy who's going to work with the centers, and you get the guy who's in charge of helping build the offense and the defense, and then you get the coaches that are in charge of in-game stuff, and you get the other guys that are, and everybody is in charge of scouting and looking at film and things like that. And it's one thing when you are told, okay, you're going to scout throughout the whole season these 5 teams, and you're going to scout them, and whenever we play we play them, you're going to tell us, hey, this is what they do, this is what they run, blah, 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 blah. And it's one thing to have your voice be heard like that. It's a whole nother thing when you are the main guy in charge and you're setting up systems, you're setting up this program, and you're setting up the culture of the team, not just of the players, but of the coaches to do that. So Adrian Griffin goes in there, and the one thing you cannot have when you're in a position like that, you cannot be insecure about your voice, you cannot be insecure about your power, about your place, because if you become like that, you alienate not the players, but your fellow coaches. And that's exactly what Adrian Griffin did. He alienated one of his best assets in Terry Stotts, who was supposed to be there to help him learn the ropes and guide through the ropes. Because when you first start coaching, and you hear this as you hear interviews from different coaches, is the first time you're just kind of dude, what the hell, And sometimes you don't know when to call timeouts here, the flow, ebb and flows of a game and things like that. And Adrian Griffin got started off the wrong foot. And from that point forward, it was really hard for him, I'm guessing, to get the coaches to trust him, because if you're going to run out one of the most respected coaches in the NBA, because Terry Stotts was well respected, well liked in the NBA, if you're going to run off someone like that, the rest of the guys in that coaching staff must have not have enough confidence after that. Because if you're going to walk around and be like a tyrant, that's not going to work out. It's not going to work. Because all these guys that are assistant coaches are trying to get themselves to be head coaches one day, or even in the front office or whatever. So it wasn't going to work. So Adrian Griffin, the season starts, and the one thing we noticed immediately, the one thing I've said over and over about the Milwaukee Bucks, the reason why I don't think they are true championship contenders this season is because their defense is terrible. They're a bad defensive team. Now, under Bud, they were really good, and a lot of it was the scheme, where Bud used the size of Giannis and Brook Lopez to cover the paint, and obviously you're only able to do that if you have an elite defender on the wing, like Jrue Holiday. Now, Adrian Griffin comes in, he sets up a new system, and in his system, everything's pushed up. So now you have Giannis and Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez blitzing the ball handlers, and this was supposed to create more turnovers, fast break, more points. You get the thing. The problem is, if you don't have an elite defender like Jrue Holiday, that kind of falls apart. And Dame, as great as he is offensively, he is not a great defender. Like he is a cone. He's a, what is it, like the turnstile. You know, the things you go and you're taking a bus or you're at the movie theater or whatever, and you know the thing just keeps turning. And that's what he is. He just doesn't. He's not a guy that's gonna play defense. He never has been. He's too small. Defense is not his thing. So they were just really bad defensively, and as of late, they had like reverted back to some of the Bud schemes of run the defense, but it wasn't good. Now, with all that said, their offense was good because obviously Giannis was coming in with a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to prove that he's still the guy. So Giannis has been great. Dame has been good too. Middleton had gotten back to the groove, and he was starting to kind of get going. And so even though Milwaukee defensively, and the way I had talked about them, it just seemed like these guys sucked. They were really good, and their players were coming together. And Malik Beasley was shooting the lights out of the ball. So it was a team that was coming together. Andre Jackson, the rookie, was playing really good. Jay Crowder had found his place again. So it was a team that was coming together little by little. And even though they were coming together, they were winning a bunch of games. 30-13. They were tied for second for best record in all of basketball. They're second seed in the East. So with all that said, you're like, man, and they fired their coach? Like that team fired their coach? Why? Now, you got to understand, the NBA is a players' league. Superstars run the league. And if you have a superstar like Giannis, LeBron, Luka, Embiid, Curry, you have a guy like that, that guy runs your franchise. And all you're trying to do, if you were a GM, president of basketball operations, you're trying to keep that guy happy. Because if that guy becomes unhappy, you're kind of screwed. And Giannis, by all accounts, Giannis was the one that was like, yeah, get this guy out of here. And once you lose Giannis, once you lose a superstar in basketball, that's it. It's hard to get it back. And it's one of those things that you have to take into consideration whenever you become a basketball coach that in the NBA, that superstar matters. And there are very few. I think the only place where the coach got the benefit of the doubt that I can remember in recent years was in Miami. When LeBron wanted Eric Spoelstra out, Pat Riley said, nope, he's staying. Eric Spoelstra's the guy. And it worked out for Miami. Eric Spoelstra's the best coach in basketball. But it just goes to show you that it just, in the NBA, if your superstar doesn't support you, you're going to be in for a short time. Short-term coaching, but it's just going to feel long. It's going to be miserable. And as much as the Bucks were winning, and they had won 2 in a row, they were 6-4 in their last 10. And again, it's 30-13. I would switch spots with them. Like if the Lakers could be 30-13, that'd be incredible. But Milwaukee is not in a position to mess around. They got a super duper star in Giannis, who's already won a title, who wants to win more, and you don't screw that up. And Adrian Griffin doesn't have the cachet to come in there and demand things and have an attitude like that, you know? Now, if you're Milwaukee, the rumor is now Doc Rivers, because Doc Rivers is doing TV, he's doing podcasting, and Doc Rivers is the big fish. Now, if you're Doc Rivers, do you come into this team and try to win the title? Because you got Giannis, and you're right there. It's interesting. Now, the problem with Milwaukee is they have no trade assets. The team is a team, pretty much, unless you're going to get some buyout guys. But the team, by and large, is the team. They don't have much to move unless they're going to be willing to move the young guy, which I don't think Andre Jackson is going to be moved. But that's like their only thing that they can move. So that's the situation in Milwaukee. Adrian Griffin fired after a really good start. But again, in the NBA, your star player isn't behind you. You're kind of screwed. So let's go around the association. Let's start with the Cavs. Cleveland has won 8 games in a row. They've been playing really good basketball. Now, Cleveland has been without. The reason why this has been so impressive is they've done it without Darius Garland, who's been out for a while, and Evan Mobley, who's been out for a while. And Jared Allen has played really well, and Donovan Mitchell has played really well. Now, for all the talk about Donovan Mitchell, because obviously the rumor is that he doesn't want to be there. He wants to go somewhere else. He wants to go to New York. If you're Cleveland and you're able to, I don't know, make it more desirable for him to stay there basketball-wise, I wonder if you choose to make a trade and bring in somebody else to just make that situation all the better. Because they're playing really well, man. Really well. And as of now, they are the 4th seed in the East. Now, there's a drop-off, major drop-off from them and the first 3 teams in the East. But if you're Cleveland and the Celtics, Bucks, and Sixers, one of them is going to play each other in the second round. And I don't know, maybe you if you're somehow able to sneak into the Eastern Conference Finals, like that's something. But I just don't think they're tough enough. I think it's still the same team that we saw last year in the playoffs, the team that the Knicks punked. And they need toughness. They need another wing that's tough. And speaking of that, the Knicks have been that. They have a bunch of just dogs out there that are just coming at you. The OG Anunoby trade has worked to perfection for them. And it is a team of just dudes that you just, the dudes that you play in the park, and they're just physical and they're fast and they're long. And you're just like, I hate playing against those guys. That's the Knicks. They have a bunch of those dudes, and they're playing great basketball right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They won 4 straight. Jalen Brunson has been amazing for the Knicks. OG Anunoby, like I said, has been really well. Isaiah Hartenstein has been really good for them too. He used to play for the Clippers, and he's just added just that dimension on the defensive end, on the boards. He's just been the big man who's been able to do it. And they're doing all this without Mitchell Robinson, who's going to come back and who's going to, play well. And he's just going to kind of like step in there. Now, Jalen Brunson and Quentin Grimes have been doing this just on the other side of the, on the backcourt. And the Knicks are just not the team to play around with. I still wonder if they're able to move someone like Julius Randle, who's he's a beast. But he is so up and down in the way he carries himself that I wonder if they're able to upgrade that position and bring in another solidified guy, just the ceiling of the New York Knicks, because the Knicks are there, man. The Knicks are there, and you even had Bruce Brown, who was in the trade for Pascal Siakam, who was traded from the Pacers to the Raptors. He was saying like he's a Thibodeau guy, and he would do anything Thibodeau. Like if they're able to get him, Bruce Brown, God, that team would be awful and annoying to play against. So something to keep an eye out. The Knicks are playing well. The Cavs are playing well. Yesterday in the league, we had Embiid go for 70. Now, he did it against the Spurs, and that's impressive, man. That's when you get to 70. That's not a lot of players have done that. This is the list. You have Elgin Baylor, who did it for the Lakers. He had 71. Wilt Chamberlain, 78. Wilt, 73. Wilt had 72. Wilt had 73. Wilt had 70. David Thompson had 73. David Robinson had 71. Obviously, you had Devin Booker, who hit 70. Donovan Mitchell had 71. Damian Lillard had 70. And Joel Embiid with 70 points. And it was an impressive performance. He had everything going for him against the Spurs. The mid-game, long range, and the paint. He was just killing dudes, man. Killing dudes. And the Spurs started with they had put Wemby on him, and he was just cooking him. So a great performance by Joel Embiid. The 76ers are playing really great basketball throughout the season. They've won 6 straight, and it's a team that finds themselves right at the cusp. They're 7-3 in their last 10, but the question becomes for them: can they do it in the playoffs? Can Joel Embiid be this person? Can he be this player in the playoffs? Because we know Embiid is a great player. We know he performs in the regular season. He's won MVP. He's a reigning MVP, and he is making a strong case this season to repeat as the MVP. But can he do it in the playoffs? Can he lead this team over and over again without running out of steam in the playoffs? And under Nick Nurse, he might be able to. Now, the Sixers have a move to make, and they have a trade to make. Now, you don't need a super-duper star. You don't need a crazy move, but you need a move. Whether it's a move for a Zach LaVine-ish guy, not exactly Zach LaVine, but a Zach LaVine-ish guy. If you're somehow able to get DeMar DeRozan, all of a sudden you get a guy who can score doesn't need to score, but he can score. And all of a sudden, you begin to balance the court out with Maxey and Embiid. And that's the route, I think the Sixers should go. But the Sixers are in really good position, especially now that the Bucks are going to be in turmoil. Because the Bucks, even though they're 30-13, even though they have Giannis, they have Dame, switching your coach like this in the middle of the season for a good team like that, it's not something you see very often. And it's not something that you just adjust out of nowhere. So seeing them is going to be, what happens with Milwaukee over the next few weeks is going to be crucial to the Sixers and even to the Cavs and the Knicks, who are right behind the Bucks. So Milwaukee, the Sixers are playing well. Over in the West, we had Cat, and Cat went for in a losing effort, but still they played the Hornets, and Cat goes for 62 points. 62 points. Now, what was weird about that one is, and even the announcers were like, he's stuck at 60, which is not something you hear very often, because he just couldn't score. It's like he ran out of gas, or they just stopped playing well. He got taken out as well, and it was just weird. So the Timberwolves lose versus the Charlotte Hornets, but 62 points, that's still very impressive for Cap. For a Minnesota team that's playing, again, really well, good defense, young team. You've seen the rise of Ant. They're tied for first. It's a three-way tie for first for the number one seed in the West, with the Thunder, Timberwolves, and the Nuggets all tied with at percentage. And the Clippers are right at the heels of those teams. So a lot of good basketball being played by the Timberwolves. The Thunder are the number one seed right now, technically, by all the tiebreakers and all that. But the Thunder are really good. They need, I said it the last time I recorded a pod on the NBA, they needed a backup center. They need another guy who's going to come in there and spell minutes for Chet. They're also really young, and I just don't know if they're going to be the team that this young gets to win the title, because if you go through NBA history, young teams don't win titles. They just don't. They need more seasoning. So that's where we're at with that. Let's do some. Let's talk about the Clippers. The Clippers won today. They beat the Lakers 127-116. Now, no LeBron today. The Lakers had beat the Clippers two straight times already, and it was just time, I guess, that the Clippers won. Now the Clippers have been really, really good. Remember, they started 0-5 when they first got Harden. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, what a disaster!" And since then, they've been the best team in basketball. They've played really well. They've, since the Harden trade, the Harden trade was October 31st, they're 26-13. And their offense is better. Their offense moves, there's more fluid. Paul George gets involved, and so does Kawhi. And a lot of it is because James Harden has decided to be the point guard. And we saw this last year. Last year when he was with the Sixers, he played the point guard, and he played it really well. And you saw the first half of the season, and even Doc Rivers has said this, that the first part of the season, he was getting everybody involved. He was a facilitator. He was the point guard that they needed. And then once he didn't get the nod for the All-Star game, that he kind of like reverted back to old Harden. And I think that's everyone that's watched James Harden over the years, that's, I think, where we're at. When is he going to revert back to the old James Harden? And maybe it isn't fair. Maybe James Harden with these guys, with this group, with this coach, isn't going to do that. But NBA players and athletes in general, it's rare to see them change, especially this late in their career, especially when they think they're still the super duper star. So I'm not saying it is impossible. I'm just saying it's unlikely. So, but as of now, the Clippers are playing really well, and I think they are the biggest threat, or one of the biggest threats to Denver in the West. The other team that's a big threat to the Nuggets is the Phoenix Suns. If Phoenix is able to stay healthy, which I know is the biggest thing, and it's what keeps this team from being mentioned as in the top with the top teams. They're going to be really well. They're going to play. They're going to be really good. They've won 6 straight, so they're getting it together. But they've also been healthy, and if it just health is the biggest thing for that team. If that team stays healthy, it's really hard for me to think that another team's going to beat them. That's just how much I like Durant, Booker. Beal's really talented. That team is just too good, and they have a really good coach now. So it's just a team that's well built, well rounded, and health. Health is wealth for the Phoenix Suns. For the Heat, let's talk about the Heat a little bit. The Heat made a trade today. They got Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, and they traded Kyle Lowry, who's for sure going to become a buyout guy, and a pick. And Terry Rozier, point guard for the Hornets, he is the perfect Miami Heat. The attitude, he's aggro, he's super confident. He's going to go in there and he's just going to come out a Heat culture rejuvenated guy. And he's going to be good for them because he's not scared of the moment. He's fine defensively, and he can shoot the ball, he can score, and he did it again, man. He's going to be really good for them. I can see it. I can see it already. It's going to be the playoffs at first round, and he's going to have 30 points. And it's like, they won because of Scary Terry. And I can just see that happening. So, good trade for them. Miami has been up and down. They've been pretty Miami-ish in the regular season. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 3 straight. But I'm not worried about Miami because they are a different team in the playoffs, and they've earned the respect for us to be like, they're going to be fine. If it was on any other team, it would be like, wow, what's wrong with Miami? But it's Miami. They'll figure it out. It's going to be fine. And it's almost one of those things that they're fine until they're not. And I'm okay with waiting until they're not fine to be like, I guess this wasn't the year for them. So that's where we're at with Miami. Now, in terms of the Lakers, I'll talk about the Warriors first. Talk about the Warriors, and we'll talk about the Lakers. The Warriors and the Lakers are entering a very interesting stretch in their season because the Warriors find themselves at 18-22. They've lost 2 straight. They're 3-7 in their last 10. And Draymond Green has came back, but that hasn't really helped much. They've also had a tragic death, and one of their coaches, he died of a heart attack last week, and And so that's one of those things that when it happens in the regular season can either break you and make you be like, man, we've already had a terrible year, and this happens too, and it can kind of either crumble to you, or it can galvanize a group of guys and say, man, we got a new goal, we're gonna do it for him. So hopefully it galvanizes them, hopefully it kind of helps them to come together and put aside all the drama and helps them to be a good team. But the Warriors find themselves 12th seed right now, 18-22. Again, not playing really good basketball. But this is their next stretch. They're gonna have to make up the game versus the Jazz. They're gonna be hosting the Mavericks, gonna be hosting the Hawks, hosting the Kings, hosting the Lakers, hosting the Sixers. And that stretch of 5 games, that 5-game homestand is going to be crucial for them. For them to go 3-2, 4-1 is going to be huge, because this is where they're going to have to start making the run. Because remember, we're 42, 43 games in. So at this point in the season just kind of goes by super fast towards the end. So this is where they find themselves, and then from there you go after that homestand. They go at Memphis, at Atlanta, at Brooklyn, at Philly, and they go on the road for 4 games. Well, 5 actually, at Indiana. So that becomes a tough stretch as well. So we're going to know by February 8th. We're going to know, and I guess they end that whole thing with, actually, no, we go further because it's Suns, Jazz, Clippers, Lakers. So February 22, after that Laker game, we're going to know where Golden State is. Because this is going to decide their season right here. This is where they make their push. This is where they begin to ascend. I can't imagine. I think, eventually the Rockets are going to start sliding. The Jazz, even though they're, really well coached and they're hard to play against, talent eventually is going to fall by the wayside unless they're going to make a trade. So the Warriors have an opportunity. The Grizzlies lost Ja, so obviously they're not going to be winning much. Portland is awful. The San Antonio Spurs are awful. So there's room there where they can slide up the standings. But this is the stretch right here for the Golden State Warriors. For the Lakers lose today. They had a terrible. I still can't get over the loss on Friday. But the Lakers find themselves 22-23. And by and large, AD has been really well, played really well, healthy. LeBron has played really well and healthy. They're going to make a trade because that's the problem with a LeBron team. They always make a trade. Now, I wonder, I was looking at Malik Beasley because Malik Beasley has been shooting the lights out. And if you remember Malik Beasley last year on the Lakers, he sucked. And you're like, man, I thought this guy was a 3-point shooter, man. What's going on? And I wonder if these guys come to the Lakers and it's not the fact that they're playing with LeBron. It's not that. It's not that, oh, man, it's a big deal we're playing with LeBron, or, oh, man, it's a big deal we're playing for the Lakers. I wonder if the idea that you're constantly being in trade talks. You're constantly talked about to be moved. Because I wonder if that's what's plagued Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has not been as good as I thought he was going to be this season. And I wonder if it's just the constant talk of like, man, you're going to be traded. Can you be traded? Because I can't imagine. I've worked in places where it's like, oh, man, they're going to cut hours, and, things are tight right now. And it just, it weighs on you because you're like, man, am I going to, need to find a new job? And you kind of just, it psychs you out. And I wonder if that's what happens to these guys. where they come to the Lakers and immediately they get there, it's like, oh man, could they move this guy for this guy? And, because it's the Lakers, it's not always fair to blame it on LeBron, because even before LeBron got here, anytime there was a free agent, the Lakers are, in talks to get whoever it is, There's like edits of Luka Doncic in a Laker jersey. Or when Wemby got drafted, it was like, future Laker Wemby. So the stuff is just writes itself because it's the Lakers, biggest brand in basketball. But I do wonder if you're a teammate of LeBron and your family members are like, man, like, does LeBron like you? Like, are you going to get traded? Because, if you're playing for the Lakers and your family's like, dude, I read on Twitter that you're in a trade rumor. You're in a trade rumor. Now, the LeBrons are going to be like, no, man, I'm not trying to trade you. But, it's a superstar league. It is what it is. And so I just wonder if that's what plays these guys. But anyway, the Lakers are entering a very similar place like the Golden State Warriors. This is where the Lakers are. The Lakers are the 9th seed right now, 22 and 23. Little better place than the Warriors. They are hosting the Bulls Thursday. Then they go at Golden State, at Houston, at Miami, at Atlanta, at Boston, at New York, at Charlotte. And then they come home for the Nuggets, the Pelicans, the Pistons, and then they go to the Jazz and the Warriors. And that right there, that Warriors, just like what I said with Golden State, we're going to know about who the Lakers are and who Golden State is by February 22. February 22, we're going to know if the Lakers are true championship contenders. By then, the trade deadline would have came and went. And we're going to know. We're going to know who the Lakers are. We're going to know what move they made because the trade deadline is February 8th. So we're going to know. We're going to know who this team is, what team is going to be geared up for the stretch run. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Lowry ends on this team. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers go and get like Schroeder again because he plays really well with LeBron. I would like for them to somehow see if they can get Schroeder and Bruce Brown from the Raptors because I think that would help the Lakers out a lot. D'Lo has been playing really well, but you can't really, buy too much into that. I just don't want LaVine. I don't want LaVine. But I don't know, maybe someone like Zach LaVine is what the Lakers need for LeBron. Now, there's two schools of thoughts here. If you're just strictly on the LeBron camp, then yeah, LaVine makes sense because he's not going to be afraid to shoot. LaVine's never been in a winning situation, and this could be like different for Zach LaVine. Now, the other school of thought is you're just a regular Laker fan who doesn't care about LeBron's legacy only. You care about the Lakers. And LeBron is a free agent at the end of this season, and he's probably going to go play wherever his son gets drafted. And I don't know. Zach LaVine has a long contract. He's not necessarily a winning player. If you're the Lakers, do you want to be stuck with Zach LaVine for the next 3 years, paying him all that money? I don't think so. So I just hope it's not Zach LaVine. To be realistic, I don't know if this Laker team has... I don't know if they're a championship team, to be honest with you. I don't know. If AD keeps this pace and just picks up the defense to a different level in the playoffs, LeBron gets crazy again, and Reeves is able to kind of get his confidence back, then we'll see. I think the Lakers are going to be a lot better after February 8th. After the trade deadline is come and gone, and these guys know, okay, I can't be traded, I think the Lakers are going to turn on. That's my prediction. The Lakers are going to be really good after February 8th. because whoever's there is going to know I'm here and I'm not getting moved. And Vanderbilt has been really well, playing really, really great for the Lakers. So that's our prediction. That's where we're going to be. That's the Lakers. That's the NBA. Adrian Griffin fired. Terry Rozier is a Miami Heat. Let's do the Celtics. Let's do the Celtics because I didn't do them in the NBA, and they're the number one seed. The Boston Celtics are the best team in the East. I still don't like some of the possessions they get late in the quarter. Sometimes, especially against like the Nuggets, for example, I didn't like their sequences and just their offense at the end. But they're a really good team. They play really good defense. Tatum has gone up a level. Brown has been better after his early season weirdness. Derek White has been a revelation. He's taken a big leap. Pritchard has played really well as well. Hauser. But the big guy, the big name, Kristaps Porzingis. He's the cheat code. He's what makes them go. He's the reason if the Celtics win the title this season, it's going to be because Kristaps Porzingis. He makes that team just a nightmare to play because he can stretch. He can go to the paint. Defensively, he's just, just clogs up the paint. The Celtics are a lot of fun to watch, and they're really good. And I think they're so good that they're able to bypass a lot of the just brain farts that Joe Mazzulla has as a coach. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at the NBA. I have 3 more pods actually coming to you. I got a 2-parter tomorrow, and then I'll have another one on. Actually, no, 2-parter tomorrow. That's going to be the Thursday. So I'm recording 2-part for the Thursday pod. That's Thursday. And then I won't talk to you again until Sunday. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for listening. It was a podcast. I'll talk to you later. Go 49ers. That's the pod. Thanks to Angel for the music. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Thursday, not tomorrow. Thursday. I'll talk to you Thursday. Talk to you Sunday. Championship weekend coming up, so getting nervous for that. But we're doing a big NFL pod with David for the Thursday pod, and we'll discuss all of that. We'll get to gloat a little bit, and I'm sure he's going to come in with a lot of crap, talking about One Pride, God knows what. But yeah, I'll talk to you Thursday night. It was a podcast. Rate, review, subscribe. 5 stars, 5 stars. Follow us on Instagram. Arrows up. Follow me on Twitter. Germ4. Instagram. Germ4 _ or _ Germ4. One of those. And I'll talk to you Thursday. Let's go 49ers.